When you think of the word confidence, who's the first person that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's a character like Don Draper. The guy just walks into a room and owns it. But what if that magnetic presence isn't some magical quality he was born with? What if it's actually something you could learn? Really just a combination of specific techniques and one core mindset. So today, let's break down the Don Draper Guide to Confidence.
I like that. It's not just the words, it's the absolute, unshakable certainty behind them. That's the kind of power we're going to dissect. So how does he do it? How does he project that level of certainty? Well, the key is understanding that confidence isn't just one thing.
And this is such a useful way to think about it. You know, we tend to lump confidence into one big bucket, but it's actually way more helpful to split it into two different flavors. The external confidence you show to the world, and the internal confidence you actually feel on the inside. They're connected, for sure, but they are not the same thing.
So, think of it like this. On one side, you've got your external confidence. That's the show. It's what everyone else sees, your posture, your eye contact, the way you talk. It's the performance that closes a deal or makes a killer first impression. But on the other side, you've got internal confidence. And that's the real deal. That's how genuinely comfortable you are in your own skin, no matter what's going on around you. The fascinating thing about Don Draper is how he masters both. So let's start with the part we can all see.
All right, Section 1, the outer layer. This is all about projection, the stuff you can see, and, more importantly, the stuff you can actually practice. It's so easy to just say, oh, Don's confident because he looks good in a suit. But the real secret? It's not the suit. It's in the tiny, deliberate details of his body language.
Just look at these examples. None of this is rocket science, right? Sitting a little off-center to relax your body. Taking up a bit of space to signal comfort and status. Leaning back, even when the pressure's on in a big client meeting. Walking through a room like you belong there. Individually, they're small things, but you put them all together and they're sending this powerful subconscious message, I am completely comfortable here.
And here's the effect that has. It completely flips the script on the whole social dynamic. See, when he's leaning back, all relaxed, he's not the one trying to win them over anymore. All of a sudden, they feel like they have to win him over. It's a subtle little judo move that puts him right in the driver's seat. He becomes the prize.
And his eye contact? Oh, it's just as strategic. It's a total masterclass in control. He doesn't just, stare people down. Notice the steps here. He starts out kind of aloof, almost disinterested. He makes the other person work to earn his attention. And then, once they're hooked, he deploys that intense, super focused gaze right when he's making his key point. It just makes his words land with so much more weight.
Okay, so that's the outer layer. But looking confident is one thing. Keeping it together under pressure is where things get really interesting. This brings us to the middle layer. Control. This is all about what happens when things get tense. It's about emotional control, or what's known as non-reactivity.
Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to do, well, nothing at all. Non-reactivity means you resist that natural urge to fidget, to get defensive, or to lash out when things get stressful. And let me tell you, this is way harder to fake than body language because it requires real, honest-to-goodness control over your emotions.
There's this incredible example from the show. Don and his wife Betty are on vacation, and these two guys start aggressively hitting on her. Now, what would most guys do? Get angry, right? Insecure? But Don, he stays completely calm and even kind of plays along with them. His total lack of reaction just completely disarms them. It shows a level of self-control that makes their aggressive act look weak by comparison.
This control also shows up in how he uses time. There's this famous scene where a client just shuts down his pitch. The room is tense, the deal is collapsing, and what does Don do? He just pauses for a full 20 seconds. In a high-stakes meeting, that feels like an eternity. But that's exactly the point. It gives him space to think while everyone else just holds their breath.
And get this, here's the crazy psychology behind why that pause is so powerful and so difficult for us to do. We are incredibly hard on ourselves. We feel this immense pressure to respond instantly, but we would never demand that of someone else. Don understands that slowing down doesn't make you look confused. It makes you look thoughtful and in control.
So we've looked at body language and emotional control, but what's really driving all of this? We're now at the inner layer, the mindset. And this is where we find a really interesting paradox. We think of Don Draper as the ultimate persuader, but his true power doesn't come from trying to convince people.
And this is a huge mental flip. Yes, Don is persuasive, but his real power isn't in his ability to force a yes from someone. It's in his genuine, deep-down willingness to hear no and walk away if the fit isn't right.
He operates from something called the equal partner frame. Think about it. In any negotiation, whether for a client or on a date, he sees himself as an equal. He's not just there to be judged, he is actively judging if they are a good fit for him. That one simple mental switch completely changes the power dynamic.
And this is such a critical distinction. Anyone can storm out of a negotiation, but how you walk away says everything. See the difference here? The weak approach is emotional, getting angry, making threats. It just screams neediness. But the powerful way, Don's way, is to calmly state that it's not a match and wish them well. The underlying message is crystal clear. I don't need this deal, I'll be fine. And that ability to walk away brings us to the core, the final, deepest layer. This isn't a trick or a technique anymore. This is a fundamental belief about who you are and your place in the world.
This is it. This is the bedrock. The absolute core of confidence is the deep, internal knowledge that you can handle whatever happens. Lose the client? You'll be okay. Get rejected? You'll be okay. Fail? You'll be okay. For most of the show, Don doesn't actually have this. He's faking it. But his journey in the final seasons is all about finding it for real.
He starts living this by finally telling the truth about his past, even when it costs him everything. In a pitch meeting with Hershey's, of all places, he reveals the brutal truth of his childhood that he's hidden his entire life. And what's the result? He loses the account. He gets fired.
Later, he confesses his deepest failings to Peggy. He admits to everything: the lies, the cheating, the stolen identity. He lays himself bare, not for any strategic gain, but just to tell the truth. He's testing the very idea that he can reveal his worst self and still be okay.
This all leads to a moment at a retreat in California. A complete stranger, a man named Leonard, starts talking. He describes this feeling of being totally invisible, like an item on a refrigerator shelf that no one ever chooses. And you can just see it on Don's face. He sees himself in that man's story.
After all the success, the awards, the women, Don realizes he shares that same deep feeling of being unlovable. And by connecting with this man, by accepting that broken part of himself, everything changes. This is the breakthrough.
And that's really the ultimate lesson here. When you can finally look at all your own flaws, your failures, your past, and not turn away from them, when you can accept your whole self, the fear of what other people think starts to lose its power. Why? Because you've built an unshakable foundation of accepting yourself.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If you knew, deep in your bones, that no matter what happened, the failure, the rejection, the embarrassment, that you would fundamentally be okay, what would you do differently? What would you try? Who would you talk to? That feeling, right there, is the core of true confidence.